でも私たちの前に現れた時とは服が違う。
Dude, this is how you get yourself doxxed when they figure out where you work. We open this week with the Mahou girls reporting it to the principal about what did and didn't quite happen with Isle's doom predictions.
Mirai 君が見たそのイメージの中に現れた。
Oh great, we're dealing with an avid Vanguard player, aren't we? Liko theorized that maybe this was all an effect of that beam they took from him in the first episode. Thus they concluded that they might find more clues if they investigate where they fought him in the no magic world. With that, the Mahou girls and their daughter tried to get on the train again, but...
3人分になります。え、こっちに来た時は2人分で。
Karen, if you have problems with our new policies, bring it up with my bosses and not me. Actually, the only thing that had changed was the fact that Hisui no longer qualified for the 5 and under discount. Yep, much like their first kid, Hisui was aging at an accelerated rate. Thus, it actually does make sense that they didn't quite notice it at first, as they probably got used to it thanks to Kota, so Liko didn't have to blame herself here, unlike a little later in the episode. Anyway, after arriving back in the no magic world, or more specifically Japan, Mirai's phone started going off, as of course AT&T doesn't provide coverage for magical fantasy worlds. God, they really need to improve their servers. Amongst her messages, a lot of them came from their old magical school friend Kei, which resulted in this great look from Liko that practically screams, "Girl, you better not be cheating on me or else I'll ghost you like these visions that we keep getting." But yeah, she just wanted to share a few YouTubes with her. Logan, just shut up and go wrestle some surprisingly really good matches in the WWE. Nah, of course, they were talking about sightings of killer bears and flying magical girls that were going viral, even though in the world of the Precure, that's probably just another Tuesday, except for maybe the flying part, as that's usually not part of their base forms. Anyway, the Mahou girls made their way to the Asahina residence, where Liko managed to reintroduce herself to the in-laws along with their second grandkid. Though notably, Granny couldn't hug them because she seemed to have a sprained ankle.
つまらない段差で転ぶなんて本当に年取ったわね。
Could I get any heavier foreshadowing?
Fortunately, they also kept Liko's room from the OG vacant and nicely maintained in case she ever needed someplace to crash, which, let's be honest, was probably just an inevitability.
いつ戻ってきてもいいようにそのままにしといたの。
Though, why does my pillow have all of these blonde hairs and kiss marks all over it? With that, they decided to scope out the park from the first episode, but the cops had still had it taped off. Well, at least these guys are actually kind of affecting the plot, unlike a certain other show. They tried to sneak around using their coats of invisibility, but the only thing they ended up learning was that they were dry clean oni. You always gotta read the tags first, just saying. With that though, Mirai did need to start to go back to her college courses and leave the investigation to Liko. And after noticing some girls exchanging tweets, or Kirstas, or whatever they're called in this world, they figured it would be wise if she had her own phone to contact her with. Though of course, there was the little issue of her home address.
新規で入ります。
Mirai, you wrote that awfully fast. Have you written on anything else with both of your names on it? Though on that note, they did have a very cute exchange where Mirai introduced her waifu to the wonders of social media before she inevitably discovers the dark side of it, and she noticed a little detail of her curtains being raised, which they would highlight more at the end of the episode. The next day, Mirai got another quote-unquote vision of being Isle in an aisle of books. Boo! Of course, she figured it had to be some sort of library, perhaps on their campus, thus she tried to call in Liko, who was with Hisui at the time.
Asahina Mirai-san.
僕だよ。
Yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna fall for your Ori scam.
No, wait, listen to me.
No, of course, Isle had answered Liko's smartphone, which I'm just now noticing they even bought a cute case for her. I mean, personally, I prefer the simpler cover types like Mirai here, but I guess they have to stay on brand or something. Anyway, while at first it seemed like Isle had done something truly heinous, like throw them into a time warp or something, it turned out to be a little simpler than that.
いちごメロンパンのおかわりを買いに行って。
Okay, the phone I kind of get because it is new tech for her, but her suitcase too? Everyone just wants to be doxxed in the show, don't they? Anyway, I took note of Hisui's accelerated growth, which if some of our previous time travel theories are correct, it might be particularly quick this time.
必要なんだ。僕の物語には。
The Mahou girls transform, and I guess decide to complete the hat trick with the topaz style this week. And unlike Ruby from last week, I did see this as a bit of an improvement. I mean, to be honest, Topaz was always my least favorite transformation sequence, as I just felt like it lacked the dynamicism of other transformations, so anything really would have been an improvement to me. In this case, they did fix up the poses at the end, which is always a major plus for me. Granted, the sequence in general is mostly unchanged other than removing the transitions from their child to adult forms for obvious reasons. I guess you could say it's the laziest remix so far because they changed so little, but for me, it's fine. Besides, the most notable aspect of this episode came afterwards, as the Maho girls tried to fight Isle, but he seemed to know all of their moves, even though he shouldn't even know about this form yet. On a side note, I also appreciate the Gren Lagann and Gao Gaigar references, if you could tell by my thumbnail. But yeah, while he revealed that he had somewhat similar foreseeing abilities as them, the Maho girls assumed it was just fortune telling, which they did cleverly establish with the principal's crystal ball at the beginning of the episode. However, as even the talking toy said, her readings were just predictions with no guarantees. Meanwhile, Isle was not only spot on, but he had even seemed to read the script.
動きがわかるの？どういうこと？
Oh, come on, dude. We all know that the first thing you're supposed to say is, and next you'll say, and do the pointing. The pointing is very important. But yeah, this pretty much confirmed that this is far from Isle's first rodeo or timeline, as after the battle, he even seemed to have save files.
今日はこの辺でブックマーク。
But yeah, he also revealed that surprisingly enough, he didn't have any control over when and what sort of timelines the Maho girls would see, which was a little confusing at first because then how did he predict the exact time of one of Mirai's visions? Well, the answer to that was quite simple. He heard it from them just now, and after this battle, he was going to go back to the past and tell them what he told them in the future, which is actually stuff from the past, from his future and his past end up.
Don't know, I've gone cross-eyed.
I joke, but if you couldn't tell by my Steins Gate badge, I am a huge fan of all of this bootstrap paradox nonsense. Anyway, conversely, when compared with the transformation, Topaz actually has my favorite finisher for just how ridiculously violent it was, with the poor monster being bounced around before being blown up with an exploding earth. Here though, not only does the explosion feel less impactful and epic, they also simplified Mofuru's opening sequence. Like, seriously, can no one reproduce Nishiki Itoka's stuff, like, at all? Later that night, Mirai had another vision of the past that explained the reason behind the open curtain, as it was meant to attract either Liko or Kota to return on an Izayoi. And again, I think all of these precious memories were at risk of being lost with how much Isle was messing around with time and space.
今数日前を見てきたよ。
The TARDIS is looking a lot better these days. I'm not even really kidding. The recent interior designs have just been plain awful. But yeah, the episode ended with the hint that he was seemingly doing all of this for his mom, who I'm guessing got turned into a dark treat or something. This was another really good episode, mostly for the time travel stuff, at least in my case. Yeah, no matter how timey-wimey it can get, I do love when they start bringing up alternate timelines and bootstrap paradoxes. Though, to prevent things from getting a little too screwy, I do like that they also broke things up with some more cute moments between the lesbian couple and their kid. Going forward, I will be keeping an eye on all of this time travel stuff, both because I am a fan of it, and also to see if they're keeping things fairly consistent. Like, I'm usually not too much of a stickler for details. If I were, my favorite movie series of all time would make a lot less sense. But I also hope that they can pull this off without getting too screwy, which, as we said, the head writer has pulled it off previously with Miracle Leap. Though, like Back to the Future and Steins Gate, the thing that always kept me coming back, aside from the time travel stuff, were the great characters, which thankfully they did emphasize a little more this week by giving them a few more slice-of-life moments. Just those little moments with the Maho girls, like Mirai buying Liko a phone or watching Logan Paul together, do add a lot and highlight what they risk losing if Isle keeps messing around with the timelines. For all we know, it could turn into a Time Ranger finale. That said, I do appreciate that they're also fleshing out our villain, both by hinting at his motivations and making him out into a legit badass with all of the hacks a time traveler should have. It makes him a legit threat that we are actually interested in learning more about. As a result, the monster fight this week was a little overshadowed. I mean, I don't think it was anything technically bad, and I actually think it's a good thing that all of this rich storytelling incidentally let the animators take a little break this week from all the fighting. As overall, this was a really good episode that managed to get my time travel nerd senses a tingling. We'll see which world line we end up in by the end of this, and hopefully it's one where at least Karisu's asshole dad gets screwed over. Thanks for watching, and hey, if you have time travel abilities, well, if we're going by multiverse rules, it probably wouldn't really affect my view count. Still, we do like every like and subscribe, so maybe do one for every multiverse, that would be appreciated. Look forward to whatever comes in the future. Until then though, farewell for now my friends, and... Ugh, what was that? It's probably nothing.